Hey, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. And welcome to the Right Size Life. If you listened to episode 1, thank you. The response has been incredible, and it tells me everything I needed to know about why this show exists and who it's for. And if this is your first time here, welcome. You don't need to go back and catch up. You can start right here. That's the whole point of this show. You're never behind. You're exactly on time. Today, I want to give you a tool. Not a concept, not a framework that sounds good in theory and falls apart in real life. An actual tool. One you can use today, in the next 20 minutes if you want to. It's called the Fearless Edit, and it starts with a story. A few years ago, we were in the middle of the move, the transition, the everything changing at once season that I talk about in this show. I found myself sitting on my daughter's bedroom floor, surrounded by years of artwork. Now, at this time, my daughter was graduated from college, grown and flown, living in her own apartment, launched into her life. As I looked at that artwork, every phase was there. Construction paper masterpieces, finger paintings, school projects that had come home with so much pride attached to them. Little faces looking up at me, waiting to see my reaction. And you know what? I saved all of it. Because how do you choose, right? How do you choose? How do you decide which pieces of your child's life to keep and which to release? Every single one of them held a moment, a version of them, a version of me that felt just as present as the paper in my hands. And I felt that pull, the familiar, heavy, completely understandable pull to keep it all. Because keeping it felt like honoring. And then I paused and I asked myself a different question. Not what do I keep, but am I keeping this because I need it or because I'm afraid to let it go? That question stopped me cold because the truth was I didn't need every piece of paper to remember those years. The meaning wasn't in the volume, it was in the memory, and the memory lived in me, not in a bin. So I started choosing differently, not quickly, not easily, but intentionally. I kept the pieces that made me stop, the ones that told a story, the ones that still made me feel something real, and the rest I released. Not carelessly, but with gratitude, because I wasn't throwing away their childhood. I was honoring it in a way that let me actually carry it forward. That's what the Fearless Edit looks like. And I have to tell you this one. I was sitting there and I had a lot of them in frames. I would go to the dollar store or a place when we lived in Connecticut called the Christmas Tree Shop. And if any of you know that store, you go in and it is crazy and you always find something. And I would always find a perfect frame that had a mat that I could stick their artwork in and then put it on the wall somewhere. I had a whole gallery of artwork for all 3 kids. Maybe you can relate, but I remember pulling this one out of a frame and actually it was stuck a little to the glass on the frame. So when I pulled it away, a little bit of the artwork kind of came off and I felt bad and I looked at it and it brought me right back to that moment. I remember it because Hannah got off the bus and walked down the driveway and her cheeks were as red as tomatoes. And she was holding it. It was blowing in the wind. And she said, "Look what I made." And I looked at it and I remember her saying, "Mommy, I feel kind of warm. I didn't feel good today at school." Of course, she had the flu. She stayed home the next 2 days, but I remember her carrying that artwork and showing me, and it had so much pride, and I stuck it right up on the refrigerator, and then I transferred it to a frame, and it's moved with us all these times since. We all have those pieces of art, right? That just attach us to a story. But here's what I want you to know. I didn't start with the artwork. I started with a closet shelf. One shelf, not the whole closet, not the whole room, not the whole house. Just one shelf that had been quietly bothering me. Things pushed to the back that I couldn't reach. Things that didn't belong there and things that I kept moving around without ever actually dealing with them. It took 20 minutes. And when it was done, I stood there and I just looked at it. I didn't immediately go find the next thing. I let myself feel what a cleared shelf actually felt like. The visual quiet of it, the sense that something small but real had shifted, that I had made a decision, a tiny one, and it had actually felt good. That shelf is why I started the artwork. The artwork is why I tackled the storage units, and the storage units are why everything else became possible. Small decisions are not the consolation prize for people who can't handle big ones. They are the foundation that big decisions are built on. So here's the Fearless Edit, simple, real, yours to use today. All right, step 1. Now just take an exhale first, because I can tell everybody listening right now is like, oh, what do I have to do? It's so overwhelming. Deep exhale. Step 1, choose one space, not the biggest, not the most overwhelming, the one with the least resistance, a counter, a shelf, a drawer. The chair in the bedroom, where things collect because it's easier than deciding. That happens in my bedroom a lot. I should say our bedroom, and it drives Tim crazy. But yeah, the chair that just has a bunch of stuff on it. Actually, I have a friend who, she'll kill me that I'm saying this. But anyway, she had a treadmill in her bedroom and she used to just throw her clothes on top of that. So we all can relate to this, right? Now I want you to set a timer. This is step 2 for 20 minutes, not a weekend, not a free Saturday, 20 minutes. Step 3, pick up each item. Pick up each and every item. Ask one question, and only one. Does this support the life I'm living right now? Does it fit? Not the life I used to have, not the life I'm planning someday, the life I'm actually living right now in this season. Keep what does. Release what doesn't, without guilt. Without guilt. That's a big one. Release it without guilt. Step 4, when the timer goes off, stop. So at 20 minutes, stop. Even if you're not done, because finishing is not the goal today, starting is. And here's the thing I really want you to hear before I let you go today. The Fearless Edit is bigger than your closet. As the physical spaces in my life began to clear, I started noticing something else. The weight I had been carrying wasn't only in boxes. It was in the roles I kept saying yes to without asking why. In the commitments that no longer felt like mine. In the quiet expectations I had carried for so long, they started to feel like facts. Because over time, we don't just accumulate things, we accumulate ways of showing up. Identities we've outgrown, but not released. Versions of ourselves we're still performing for an audience that may have long since moved on. The Fearless Edit at its fullest asks you to look at all of it and to ask honestly. And like I always say, no judgment. It's a no judgment zone. Not because it's bad, but no judgment. Does this still fit who I'm becoming? Does it? And once again, not because it's bad, not because it was ever wrong, but because it may no longer be true for who you are right now. And that is reason enough. Your assignment before our next episode, 20 minutes. 20 minutes. One space. The question. That's it. And when you do it, come and find me on Instagram or Facebook at Fearlessly Facing 50 and tell me which surface you tackled. I love a good, I finally dealt with that shelf moment. I love those. Or email me, Amy at fearlesslyfacing50.com, FIFTY. I know, I also am just going to tell you right now, I get a lot of emails. I do respond to all of them over time, but I'm giving myself at least 48 hours with every email. So just so you know. But I want you to have that really good feeling of, I finally dealt with that shelf moment. I finally dealt with that counter moment. I finally dealt with that purse moment or that car moment. You know how your car gets just dirty. It just does. It just does. All right. Fearless Edit. Can't wait for you to tell me all about it because I think it's pretty cool. I'll see you next episode. And remember, go forth and live yours. I had it go forth and live aligned because I used to say go forth and be awesome. And then I said go forth and live aligned, but aligned is overused, I think. So mine is go forth and live yours. I'll see you soon.